I think there are, one of the main goals of schools is to make sure that everyone is prepared. And I think schools treat students in a way that gets them equally prepared to make the next step in their lives. So, in that way, school is a real equalizing tool.
When I was in middle school, I feel like schools did very little to do away with gender roles and stereotypes. It was typically, teachers would really encourage that females read and write, and like you wouldn't feel that sense of support as a male. I consider myself not as much of a reader today, and I feel like I didn't read as much back then, and I felt that it had to do a lot with who was encouraged to read and what reading was typical for a male. Was it typical for a male to do or a female to do? And in that situation, in my mind, it was being drilled into me that females were readers. But it's not true.
There's still like the dress code of like you're not supposed to wear like leggings and like yoga pants and stuff like that, because like I guess it gets people frisky and like like it's too tight or it might be too revealing. But I feel like as girls, like we should be able to wear what we want. If guys can wear whatever they want, why can't we wear what we want?
While we have to learn self-control, boys aren't required to learn it. They're kind of almost motivated to say something. They have to say something. They can't contain themselves, but boys are just the same as girls, where they can learn self-control if they really wanted to.
Schools kind of reinforce gender stereotypes in the same way as all institutions still do, or most institutions still do. For example, like in teaching and just in a professional level, it's still a very gendered profession, and that is more conducive, and historically has been more conducive and more inviting to the woman.
These are very complex parts of people's identities. In order to understand something like that with nuance and with subtlety, you need to explain to students, how those things work. That it's not just as simple as this is my gender identity or this is my sexuality. For a lot of people, it takes a lot of work to get there and to figure it out. So it's not always easy for students to understand that they're not just categories that people fall in, but having that conversation with students about understanding why we have to talk about the range of identities is really important. I think schools sometimes shut those conversations down in a way that just says, this is what you should do, this is what you should and shouldn't say, and doesn't give them room to understand or to grow into their own understanding of what these words and what these identities mean.
We're not taught so much on women and like women's rights and like the amazing women that have lived in in this world and in this country and have done like such amazing things. And I feel like that's something that we should focus on more, because yeah, we get it, like men have done a lot of things, but so have women, and like women have played a major role in this society as well.
And the ways that like gender is represented in the curriculum, I think, is probably the biggest way that gender stereotypes are reinforced and are maintained right now. So in history curriculum, you're still seeing elite white men over and over again, and there's maybe time and space designated to women instead of allowing it to be a little bit more fluid.
To me, it starts with administrators and teachers that in order to be able to have these conversations, they shouldn't always be coming from teachers and administrators. So there needs to be some training around that you're not the authority, that we don't just offer workshops to students or put them through assemblies. Having more student-centered training and being able to have a more student-centered conversation around gender, sex, and sexuality is key.
I think they could resolve these problems of gender roles is through education. As we do it here at Breaking Providence, we really just explore these topics, and we expose our students to different opinions and then have them formulate their own opinions.
I think a big part of it is teaching about women. Like right now I'm taking a women in history class, and it just empowers women. If you're empowered as a woman, as a girl, as a female, you're able to do so many things, and you're not scared to say, oh, I'm a feminist. You're not scared to say, oh, I'm a strong, independent woman. Nowadays, I feel like a lot of girls are scared to claim that they're strong. They're scared to claim that ugly word called feminism, when really, if you teach about women, if you show the amazing things that they have done in the past, you would the women of today would be more inclined and would be more uplifted and empowered.
There have been non-conforming gender expressions since the beginning of time, and gender has been something that has constantly transformed, and different cultural groups have interpreted gender in different ways. So it'd be really nice if that was included in the conversation in the history curriculum, if gender could be more included in science curriculum, and and just in general when there's a basic gender stereotype, like in a math question, or when a gender stereotype comes up in an English text, to observe it and to provide more space for students to think and talk critically about it in relation to the current world.